how do you how do you leapfrog over that amount of polarized, duplicitous, bullshit piety, and mixed with idiocy all at once? How do you do it? Well, it's not easy. It requires some effort. You've got to bring two people together that are brutally, ridiculously stupid to say stuff that is, clearly above their pay grade intellectually, psychologically. And like this, obviously this lineup has been a long time coming. This is, for those of you that don't know, this is Bongholio, who is looking for TP for his bunghole. And I think Alex might be able to help him out with that, Alex Jones. And then, of course, this is the namesake progeny of Donald Trump Jr., the only man in the world who has managed to grow a beard and make his chin look smaller in the process. It's incredible. It's not easy, but he did it. He's in the Guinness Book for a reason. What ad is
Big time deals are going
on
now
tires.
At Discount Tire.
That's all right. Tires are okay.
Get $110 in instant
That's a lot.
on any
How much are the tires, though? I mean, they're at a discount.
Get 30%
30% off.
average wait time when you buy and book online at discounttire.com.
30% average. Wait a minute.
I can't.
30% average wait time buying tires? How the fuck do they manage to measure that? We'll find out. Hold on. And I've got to, is this, yeah, the volume's okay. So Merrick Garland, October 21st, 2021.
I can't imagine any circumstance in which the Patriot Act would be used in the circumstances of parents complaining about their children, nor can I imagine a circumstance where they would be labeled as domestic terrorism.
Yeah, that was a lie.
No, it wasn't.
Now, two Republican congressmen say that's exactly what was happening, and they...
Yeah, but that's what they said was happening back then before he even said it. Let him, he'll straighten it out.
They have the evidence to back it up.
Oh, yeah?
Joining me now is Executive Vice President of the Trump Organization.
Executive Vice President. It's, yeah, 2 tiers down and 1 tier up.
Donald Trump Jr. Don, thanks for spending some time with us here.
Yeah, we were trying to find somebody who knew less about this than I do, and man, it was hard. So thanks for coming on.
Don, listen, Merrick Garland is obviously lying, okay? We now have evidence that the FBI did, in fact, probably at his instruction, target these parents.
Target? Just targeted parents, just for talking and stuff? Not looking into the ones that were doing death threats, the actual death threats that were given out? I mean, no, this is just abstract. Just any parent that bitched at a PTA meeting or a school board meeting.
Why can't they just come out and admit at this point?
Why don't you just come out at this and admit at this point that they didn't?
They're becoming an enforcement arm of the Democrat Party. It's sad to watch.
It is sad. I'm sad. It's heartbreaking.
It really is, and it's absolutely disgusting. The fact that they're not focused on actual domestic terrorists. We watched,
Oh, you mean like right-wing domestic terror, like they were warning about, like the fucking Buffalo shooter and assholes like him? That last summer, the DOJ, and last October, actually, when Merrick Garland sat down at that very same thing, was talking about the rise of domestic terror and how that is their biggest current domestic threat, because those are the guys who go and shoot places up, and they are the most, like, they have the most, like, planning behind it. They are technically lone wolves because they're alone, but they are strategizing with other people, talking on like Reddit threads and shit like that. Dude wrote a fucking 110-page manifesto. But when Merrick Garland came out and said, yeah, our biggest problem really is physical threat to Americans is domestic terror subjects, like the guy who shot up the Buffalo supermarket. And these guys were like, they're trying to make every conservative a criminal.
Portland, Seattle, and every other major city in America burned.
That are fine.
Burned for 2 years, and those
burned for 2 years and still standing. I had no idea, but apparently Portland is made entirely out of asbestos.
People were just fine, but if you're a parent that complains about your children being indoctrinated in our public school systems, you are labeled a domestic terrorist.
No, you're not. If you threaten to murder the school administrator, the vice principal, the school board members, teachers themselves, then you're labeled a domestic terrorist because you were doing it for political reasons, not even specifically revenge against something your kid was taught. It's in the abstract, it's politically based, and that's what makes it domestic terrorism. It's not even hard to figure out.
By the highest branches of federal law enforcement. I mean, it's absolutely...
Let me guess, it's disgusting?
Disgusting.
Yeah, it's disgusting. I'm glad he doesn't repeat the same phrases over and over again like his dad.
That this is going on in the United States.
It isn't, though. It would be disgusting, I suppose, but it isn't.
In 2022, or frankly, at any other time.
Yeah, it would have been terrible in 1814.
In history, Dan, it's really...
Yeah, it would have been terrible if this had happened in America in 1307.
Terrible, but it is happening, and people have to start making their voices heard.
Why? So they can be targeted by the DOJ? If they even complain, don't you realize they're going to be put on a watch list? What are you encouraging them for?
Must not be afraid, because that's what the tactics they're trying to employ. They're trying to scare you.
Actually, it sounds like you're trying to scare them. It sounds like these guys are trying to scare parents into you can't even speak up or you're going to be put on a watch list, which would scare most normal parents, even ones who are, QAnon and Don Jr. fans.
To allow this garbage to continue. And you're going to destroy our education system, which is bad enough as it is. You're going to destroy it, and you're going to destroy our children's future if we don't stand up to this nonsense.
Just end the sentence with nonsense. That's a Don Jr. Strategy for communication. Just end it with nonsense. And people go, it is nonsense. I like common sense, and I like hearing the word nonsense.
And Don, the good news is there is a silver lining. You're starting to see whistleblowers from the FBI come forward. A lot of decent people over there have had enough of this crap. But the leadership, Don, there's clearly a problem.
No, there isn't, Don. Put something on fucking screen. What are you even talking about? Literally, Merrick Garland denies it in October. It's fucking May.
I mean, your father got slammed for firing Jim Comey, which was probably one of the best decisions ever made from the executive office of the president.
Yeah, but he put Chris Wray in charge. How'd that work out? I mean, it's obviously an improvement, but,
But clearly, that wasn't enough. I think Republicans running for office now, I know you're campaigning for a lot of people, they have to commit to taking a look at this at the DOJ and FBI. We don't want partisans. We don't want conservatives or liberals. We want law enforcement officials who pledge to enforcing the law.
Yeah, that's what you do have. You do have that. You just think that your folks, your side of the aisle, can run afoul of the law and never actually pay anything for it. That politically, just because you believe that you're driven to do this because you think you've read a bunch of OK groomer threads on Twitter, that you can threaten to kill a principal of a school or a school board member and not have anything happen to you. You can't get a knock on your door from the fucking FBI going, hi, were you planning on following through with that phone call? How'd you guys know? Well, because this person keeps getting threats. And we saw your number pop up 4 times, and we have their phone tapped at their request, and we have your voice on a recording threatening to set fire to their house and stab their children and calling them, a pedophile or something, and they don't even work at your kid's school.
100%, and I mean
100%, and this is such nonsense, and it's disgusting.
And I see that with so many of the people that I know in law enforcement. We have to make the
the door kickers
distinction, as you know, Dan, between the door kickers.
Motherfucker. The door kickers.
The guys doing the actual work.
The guys kicking the actual doors. The guys doing the actual work. Yeah, investigators don't do anything. The only part of law enforcement that has any meaning is the part where somebody kicks a lock.
They're disgusted with what's going on in leadership, but our leadership is broken, whether it's the upper echelons of, law enforcement.
The upper echelons? It's pronounced enchilada.
Whether it's the FBI, the DOJ, you see the same thing with the military.
And it's just disgusting, and there's nonsense.
When our generals get on stage in front of Congress,
and say woke stuff.
They could not have seen what happened in Afghanistan happening.
No, they knew it was an issue. That's why they kept talking everybody out of leaving, and that's why everybody stayed until Biden went, I don't give a fuck, we're out.
If these people aren't capable of seeing those things after being in a venue for 20 years, they're incapable of actually leading.
No, none of them can predict a suicide bomber or that the Taliban, who your dad made a fucking deal with, would allow a suicide bomber through simply to blow up a bunch of Afghans trying to flee so that they wouldn't have to suffer this brain drain. They could scare people away from leaving.
They should not be in those positions. And we've seen sort
all of our generals must pass a psychic test.
of the woke wing of military and law enforcement take over the upper echelons.
The upper echelons.
And you've seen what the results. I don't know that the FBI has actually prevented a crime in decades because
for the record, and most law enforcement operates this way, that the presumption is, and this is, I don't know if this might be new to Don and certainly new to Bongholio, the presumption is that when you put someone in jail, the reason you incarcerate them is because in theory, if you don't, they will do it again. So technically, everyone they've arrested and everyone they put behind bars is at least one, if not multiple crimes that were prevented.
because they're too busy worrying about nonsense. They're
Nonsense again.
too busy making sure that if your grandmother took a selfie somewhere near the Capitol or within 1,500 miles of Washington, D.C. on January 6th.
But it depends on what she was doing in the selfie. Dan, what was your grandmother doing in that selfie? And why does he bring it up? I don't think that's right.
That they're in the gulags.
The gulags. For the record, we have no gulags.
While actual terrorists get free reign and probably help, based on everything I've seen as it relates to the entrapment and all the other failed
Oh, so it's not just that the FBI and the DOJ are supposedly attacking parents. It's that the FBI and the DOJ are financing terror inside the United States. And why does he think this? Because they're finally going after his dad for the crimes that he's broken over the years again and again and never seen any responsibility for.
persecutions that they've tried pushing on the American people over the last couple of months.
What do you mean, yeah? That was it? Yeah. Well, I think we all learned a lot. I think in over the course of the next few weeks, look for Don Jr., certainly more than Eric, to show up repeatedly to defend his dad and therefore his nest egg and his inheritance vociferously as the news starts to tighten around the political misgivings and criminality of the Trump organization. And remember that Donald Trump put him in charge of the company while he was president, and all kinds of crimes were committed in that overlap. Everything they say about Hunter Biden and Joe Biden is true of Don and his dad. So Don and Don, and who acted like a bunch of Dons. I'm just saying.